Ladies and gentlemen, the following is a Xander Brand podcast. All thoughts, actions, opinions, and/or endorsements are those of the person or persons in this podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new podcast. My name is Joseph Alexander Simpson. This is a new podcast we're bringing to you on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, which I'm doing a video version for. So if you're listening on the video version, you'll see. If you're watching the video version, you'll see my face. If you're listening to the audio, you're not going to. But the cool thing is, if there's ever any swears, which there won't be because it's just not a thing that I do very often, not on camera, not off camera, but this is going to be like a conversation off camera, so if I do, I do. But the main thing is going to be that I'm not going to do that. But the only time, like if I do that here or there, you will hear it on the audio version, but not on the video version, because YouTube, we have to censor ourselves because that's just the way the world works. If I look up, you guys can see the studio lights. It's really hot in here. I'm just like in a little building in my backyard, because I recently moved, actually, and I think I've kind of tackled this just a little bit on social media here and there. But yeah, we moved to a nice little place, and it's pretty nice here. I like it. It's near a busy road, so I mean you do get the occasional by cars, but and I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I'm gonna do a good job editing this or if you guys are gonna hear the crickets, because you can hear crickets in this little building. Like I said, it's a little building. I've hooked up lights in here, and it's nice and pretty good in here. I like it. I might throw a backdrop behind me or something in future episodes, but this is where I am now. This is what I'm doing right now, so that's a plus. Okay, and so that's a plus. I don't know why I did that. Right, I accidentally turned off the camera for a few seconds. That is fun. But we're back on. We're good to go. So, anyways, I know a lot of you guys follow me on social media. So you guys have been seeing, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You've been seeing some stuff for streaming, a presidential campaign, a professional wrestler named Opier Crippler, and you've been seeing a lot of stuff about the Xander Brand and, Joseph Alexander Simpson. What's the difference between the two? Who's Joseph Alexander Simpson? What is the Xander Brand? Who's the Xander Brand? Who's Xander Brand? So the Xander Brand is going to be like a new thing that I'm doing with a few other people. Aiden Dunn and Logan Allred are actually on board with the project. Projects. It's plural. I mean, they're going to star in some sketch comedy. They're doing their own podcast, which I have to produce, so that's going to be fun. Those two are, I mean, they're pretty chill, but like, they're a little hyper. They're a little too hype for me. But no, all joking aside, actually, I'm really excited to be working with Aiden and Logan. No matter what it is that, they're doing, what I'm doing, it doesn't really matter. It's all good to me. But yeah, so I know that you guys have been seeing like a little bit of like, oh, Xander's depressed. Xander's, anxiety is getting really tough here. Xander's social awkwardness. So I wanted to talk a little bit about mental health in this first episode, because like it's so near and dear to me, because I have it. Hold on, sorry, I'm taking off my shoes here so I can just chill on this couch. Mental health is so near and dear to me because I have issues with mental health, like a ton of issues with mental health. So it's very beneficial to me to talk about it because I don't want people to be like, oh, Xander's just really sad all the time, which I mean that's kind of what it is, but it's not. It's it is about being sad. Well, as far as depression goes, depression's about being. It's kind of like being sad, but it's not. It's about a uh, constant sadness, like, and not about other things going on in your life. It's about yourself. And what am I sad about myself? I don't know, because that's not a thing that you know with depression. You don't just automatically know, oh, I'm this or I'm that. I mean, you are what you are. And that's kind of the way things go. I've had some episodes, and I'm sure you guys have seen with, me moving my live stream that I had planned on Twitch, moving it to, there's no official date for it. Which part of that was also because I knew that I was going to be involved with doing the Xander Brand as well, because we are launching the Xander Brand. I want to make sure this date is right and that I did not screw this up. We are launching the Xander Brand on the 23rd of August. So that's actually a week, and that's actually a week and 6 days. So, that's going to be really fun. Like I said, I have Aiden and Logan with me who are helping me immensely. They're doing their own podcast. They might be coming on here, here and there. The Disagreement Brothers show is going to eventually come back, so it's going to be really fun. I'm also working with, I don't know if I can officially disclose this, so I'm going to edit this out if I can't. I will be working on Drake Dragsaw. Some of you guys know him as Polly. I'll be working with him on another show that I can't really give too many details about because it's less of like us being ourselves and, like our personalities. It's more of like an actual like scripted series. So I can't like give a ton of information about that. Because of, obvious. It's obvious why I can't get that information out. But I mean, hey, it's cool. It is what it is, right? That's that's the way I look at it. It is what it is. All joking aside, like I said, with mental health has caused me to kind of move some things around, change the way I've been doing things in my life. Like I said, the streaming. And honestly, there's nothing you can really do about, depression and anxiety. So what is anxiety? Glad that you are totally asking these questions. Anxiety's basically like, I don't know how to say this without like it sounding really stupid. Anxiety's kind of like, if you could compare depression to sadness, which, like I said, it's not exactly what it is. Anxiety is kind of like a feeling of loneliness. Like depression really kind of prevents you from like making friends too, which then your anxiety kicks in because you're alone, and it's like, which one do you want me to feel? But no, that's kind of what those two are. An analogy. It's not exact because there's no way that you could be. Depression and anxiety are definitely not something that you just like. So I mean, you can have both. You don't always have both. Anxiety could also be compared to a feeling of nervousness, stuff of that sort. But yeah, so I've been dealing with mental illnesses for a while. There's a little bit of narcissism in there too. Like, I know a lot of people that know me know that there's like a little bit of there's always been a little bit of narcissism in there, but a lot of people don't really know where that has come from. Honestly, I've never really gotten a lot of compliments or been like the favorite person for anything, to be honest. So I guess in the back of my mind, I created an ego just to kind of fulfill my own desires of getting noticed and being this person that everybody loves, and so on and so forth. And it's kind of just brought along a reputation with me. I've done some stupid things in life. But I try to own up to a lot of them, and just, like I said, I just try to be myself. I'm kind of developing in my mind. I'm becoming a new person, honestly. And I know I've said that before, but like I'm genuinely becoming a new person, and I'm enjoying my life a little bit more. If things wouldn't just be so boring during quarantine. No, I honestly, quarantine's kind of brought about a new style of a new way of life to me because I'm by myself. I have a lot of time to think to myself. It's kind of brought about some self-reflection, which has been amazing because obviously self-reflection is great, and that's something that people should like to do. And I know this podcast, it's like, oh, so he's just going to talk about himself. Kinda. I'm gonna talk a little bit about myself. I'm gonna talk about things going on in my life, the world. So it's professional wrestling because I really like professional wrestling, and I don't have a professional wrestling oriented podcast anymore, and I used to. I'm gonna take these headphones off because they're not really doing anything. But yeah, so I think honestly there's gonna be a lot of fun things happening on this podcast because I'm gonna bring on some guests, so on and so forth. It's gonna be really fun. And so, yeah, I might bring on guests like Aiden Dunn and Logan Allred from the Xander Brand, maybe Drake Dragsall, because he's from the Xander Brand, or because he's helping me out at the Xander Brand, and because he's a genuinely good YouTube personality that I'd love to have on to talk about tons of things, because I know me and him are kind of on the same wavelength with a lot of things. I might bring on political and leadership focused, oriented people, because I'm sure a lot of you have heard, I've actually started this a while back, a 2040 presidential campaign, and a lot of it kind of just started as, this is something I would love to eventually do. And I'm like, I want to be the youngest president in history. Which, may not be the case in 2040, because there may be someone who's a lot younger than me, with amazing candidates like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Pete Buttigieg was going to, if he would have been elected, which he's out of the race, if he would have been elected 2020, then he actually would have been the youngest president, and there would have been the only way for somebody to... No, I think he, based on his age alone, he would have been the youngest president ever in history, and I don't think there could have been much to really stop him from being the youngest president in history. So, I don't know, it'll be really interesting to... I might bring on, and so I'm really enjoying that. I might be bringing on some professional wrestling guests, because I'm sure a lot of you guys heard... I was doing professional wrestling for a bit. I was doing a little bit of commentary. I'm sure a lot of you have seen my backyard wrestling stuff. But no, I've been. I was doing. What was that? I was doing some backyard stuff, but I also kind of thought, at least, that I was working with American Lucha Wrestling for a bit. We were in discussions, and there was a little bit of miscommunication there. I'm not going to lie. And essentially they told me, hey, you're not officially affiliated with us, so, we're going to get on with business, but, you can't tell people you're affiliated with us because you're not. And I was like, oh, was there a bit of miscommunication here? So we talked it out. American Lucha Wrestling, probably the best company I've worked with. I've worked with people for production roles and stuff like that, because I really wanted to break into the water for professional wrestling. I'm too young to be a wrestler, right? Well, I was at some point. I was I'm too young to be a professional wrestler. Now I'm really not technically, but then I was like, yeah, I'm too young to be a professional wrestler. So how do I break into the business? Well, I like doing video production. I like live production stuff. I do it all the time. So my whole idea was, I can just jump in, do production roles, stuff like that. So ultimately, that didn't turn out in my favor because, obviously, it's pretty. The story's out there with Gouge Wrestling, where I formerly partnered with them while I was the head at Digital Lake Media. We didn't have that great of a relationship. I love Greg over there. Count Grog is his wrestling character. Honestly, he's a really great guy, and I wish Gouge the best because even though I worked with Gouge and we really didn't have that good of a relationship, I don't mind it one little bit. Because it taught me some things about business. I had my first, it wasn't face to face, it was virtual, which is funny because back then COVID really wasn't, a big situation because it hadn't been discovered yet. COVID technically had. Anyways, so the pandemic hadn't been around, but I still did a virtual meetup with the person because the person was it's 2 hours from where I live. So I met up with the person, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll have you come in and do taping. You guys take control of footage." And so I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So then I did this first little backyard style thing. Very cinematic, which is ironic because back then professional wrestling didn't really have a lot of cinematic stuff. The only really cinematic pre-taped matches you really got was Matt Hardy back during the TNA days, even a little bit of WWE days. So it was really fun to actually do that because it was me versus myself. So I had to do very funny camera angles just to make it work. And it wasn't Xander versus Xander. It was El Hombre, which translates to the man in Espanol. And then we had my brother come in and play El Hombre for a second match that kind of just happened spur of the moment. But he enjoyed it, honestly. Daniel enjoyed doing the wrestling. He's always like, "Hey, we should do another match. We should do this and this and this." But Daniel enjoyed it. He came in, he played El Hombre, then he took off the mask. "Oh, you're not facing El Hombre at this big Gouge event." And we were gonna have a match of mine and El Hombre go on the same night as a Gouge event. We were gonna air a Gouge event and have that be the main event. Kind of main event. I didn't want it to be the official main event. Our match was kind of technically an unsanctioned match, so it wouldn't have been considered the main event. We would have just been the last match, which I know a lot of people are like, that means that it's the main event. No, it's not. That's not always the case. Sometimes they have main events going first because they're a bigger deal. It's a bigger thing going on. I need to move my mic closer to me, don't I? Okay. Alright, this is better. I can move this up a little bit too. Alright, so yeah, so that's what we ended up choosing to do. It was really fun. So then he ended up jumping on board, and we did a match, and then we kind of had a bit of a problem with Gouge. Things our partnership kind of dissolved a little bit, but, that's what happened. Not really much that I can. Not really. Sorry, it's really hot and stuffy in here. I need to get a fan whenever I get ready to come in here again. But it's not really something that it's not really something that people really have Anyway, so that's something that we did. So obviously, like I said, you guys have been hearing me refer to myself as Joseph Alexander Simpson. I used to be known by people as Xander Simpson. My real name is Joseph Alexander Simpson. Obviously, that's where I got the Xander part of my name, was Alexander. And my parents, actually my dad and my uncle decided, hey, we should call this newborn baby that hasn't even been born yet, we should, we'll name him whatever, and then his middle name should be Alexander, and we can call him Xander, like Xander Cage from the Triple X movies. So you guys saw where that went, right? My name was fine. It just kind of grew synonymous with bad things. Not really bad things, but internet big thing, so on and so forth. So I made the choice, I don't remember when it was, I was like, well, why don't I just make this Xander term why don't I take the name Xander and turn it into like a business name? Like, let's make it a brand. Let's, Xander this, Xander that. And that's why you'll see Xander Brand. Xander Brand so that people don't get confused. But the Xander Brand podcast, which you are listening to one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, please be sure to subscribe to the Xander Brand podcast. I'm kidding. No. That was not an advertisement. I've been enjoying doing stuff for the Xander Brand, and I'm grateful that we're going to be launching on the 23rd. Which you guys really need to stay tuned. I think we're going to do, like, the 23rd is going to be, like, a big live event type thing where we're just going to be going. So, you guys will see what'll happen. Nothing big, I promise, nothing, I don't even know if we're going to do the big live event, if we're going to do a live event, but we're going to have some sort of little thing going on. Push comes to shove, we might actually just do a full tape of whatever we're doing and toss it on there and be like, boom, here we go, it's a big show, it's a big thing. But no, I'm really enjoying the Xander Brand and doing stuff with the Xander Brand, so I honestly can't wait. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of people asking me like, oh, why did you stop doing podcasts? Well, the first time, whenever I stopped doing the Just Talking podcast, was because Digital Lake Media had dissolved, and things were not really working out over there at Digital Lake Media. So I was there. I mean, I obviously ran things, but I was only on air part time. So I really told a lot of them, I was like, hey, I'm not going to be the people that were scheduling the Just Talking podcast and, this project that we're trying to get off the ground, We only got one project off the ground, really, from a major standpoint, and that was, the Just Talking podcast. But that was because of my work, honestly. I don't like taking credit for stuff like that, but honestly, the Just Talking podcast got off the ground because of me. So I stopped doing podcasts because Digital Lake Media dissolved. I think I did a little bit of like a personal podcast type thing, but I felt like I couldn't, really be out there and be myself. Either I'd have family nearby listening in, and I couldn't really just get my thoughts onto camera in front of a microphone. But now that I'm separate from my family, my family's sleeping. Well, some of them are sleeping, some of them are awake. It's one of them is at work. But no, so I decided, hey, let's jump in here. Let's just start recording things, and I could just talk about literally anything. And if I say the F word, too bad. I'll just have to edit it out. But like I said, I don't really say that a lot, so you don't really have to worry about that if you don't like that. But no, so I'm really planning. What I'm really planning on for the rest of my life, well, probably within the next few months, so on and so forth, is obviously getting the Xander Brand off the ground, because that's going to be fun. And then I'm also going to get a job so that I can get, money. I can become financially independent. And that kind of cuts into my anxiety. I was talking about mental health a little bit. It kind of cuts into my anxiety a little bit because I had an interview type thing that I was supposed to be doing, and I had a situation where, like, I just got so nervous before this interview. Things didn't work out with this interview, but I showed up and I was, like, really nervous. And just, there was so much anxiety going into it. Not just because I was nervous. It wasn't just like, oh, he's nervous. Like, there was so much anxiety. Like, do I do this? What do I do here? What do I do with this? What do I do with this? I don't know what I'm doing. And it kind of got really, really frustrating, honestly. Because, that's just a thing, man. I couldn't really help it. I don't know. There's a little bit of this and that with that. I'm also gonna try to move my streaming over to something like Lunar or some sort of streaming alternative. I'm gonna do wrestling training, probably with American Lucha Wrestling, because like I said, they are probably the best promotion I've ever talked to, worked with, had any involvement with. Although it wasn't official, I wasn't officially involved with them. I really enjoyed what I was doing, and how I was like, hey, what if we do this, and what if we do this, and this, and this, and hey, things probably kind of turned out right. So I'm also going to continue my elect Joseph Alexander Simpson campaign, 2040. I've actually endorsed the Movement for a People's Party, which is basically they're trying to cut down the two-party system, make things better, cut down corruption, and you won't get a lot of the things that you see in the two major parties that you see today. And that's great, because I think that those are both the Movement for People's Party needs to exist, and whenever it starts, I'm a member of it immediately, so that'll be fun. I got blown up on Twitter just for being like, hey, I'm a member of the People's Party. So that was really interesting. I'm also planning on doing like a youth leadership type conference to kind of tie into the elect Joseph Alexander Simpson campaign. I know I kind of teased at it like a year and a half ago, but I really want to actually make it happen, so that's gonna probably eventually at some point happen. But I really want that to kind of happen. Even with that, I have a lot of anxiety with my 2040 campaign because, like, I'm really worried things are gonna go to crap, like really soon and really easily. But that's why I'm just really hoping that things kind of turn out well. But we'll kind of see with that. Like I said, the depression and anxiety and stuff, it's really, it kind of really gets to me. It also, provides this need for being successful, and my desire to kind of stay busy so that those don't really affect me as much, because those hit in really hard, man. Once I'm doing nothing, once that boredom hits in, the depression hits in, the anxiety hits in a little bit. There's so much anxiety and social awkwardness in my love life, my non-existent love life, which I've kind of, tried to keep busy, tried to keep private for a while, mainly because, like, it's my business, but then, I started making music, which then got attention because people could tell who I was writing music about, and it wasn't intended for people to be like, oh, it's this person or it's that person. The desire was actually originally, before I started making money off of music, the desire was to go and be like, oh, well, I really like this person, that's how I feel about this person. And, I just loved putting that out into a song, and it was honestly personal, but I was like, hey, why don't I go ahead and release it? I'm not the best singer, the music's not the best, but let's just release it and just have fun with it. And even now, that's like my first and foremost with music, is let's have fun. Number 2 is let's make something I'm proud of, and let's make something that I personally like. I can't say that it's like 100%, oh, I really love this, I really like that. But I feel like it's really good, and I like it. That's kind of my original. It was kind of my original idea, going into that. I'm really liking my music. But it has provided this weird attention grabbing thing for me in the back of my mind. I'm gonna continue music and everything, but that's just what I've kind of gotten with, a little bit here and there. I am making new songs, possibly a new album, which is gonna be really fun. I have a little show notes here so that I can, notes for my show. It's not show notes, because show notes, you guys could read them. Just like bulleted list of things that I really kind of wanted to talk about here. So if you guys are watching the visual version and you're seeing me look down, I'm looking down actually at a list that I made last night and kind of the night before. Because I'm actually recording this the day it comes out. So, like, I got up at, like, 5 o'clock this morning just to kind of come out here, set everything up, record, leave, and edit. But yeah, so it'll be really interesting. Like I said, I'm making some new music. It'll be fun. And I'm going to try not to, put money and using people as my number one priority here with that anymore, because I kind of have. It's not a good thing. Money shouldn't be my first focus, and neither should people. Using people to get publicity should not be my first thought either. But I kind of made it into my thing. I started talking about people, and then it kind of went from there. I don't really know how to talk about it without saying, I was wrong, I screwed up, I used people, got publicity, and made money. I can't make money off people. That's just morally wrong. I'm the first to admit whenever I'm wrong, and that was really something where I was wrong, and I screwed up there. Speaking of screwing up, I have on my list Aiden Dunn recently. For those of you that know Aiden Dunn, him and Logan Allred kind of faked Aiden's death a little bit. Logan basically made videos that are like, oh, I'm sad Aiden's gone. People are like, Aiden's gone? What? And then Aiden made a video. He's like, nah, I'm fine. Oh, it was so despicable. I don't like to talk about Xander Brand affairs here, but I was close to actually getting an intervening and being like, yeah, you guys we don't need you anymore. But I've told them how I felt about it, and I think we're kind of on the same page a little bit. I don't think there's an element of boom, but I think they've both been yeah, it was kind of a social experiment. We wanted to see how things were going. I mean, not that I haven't thought about, faking my own death, because I legitimately have, to be oh, what would happen if I did this? How would people react? Well, they got reactions from people, and, hey, that's what their goal was, and I didn't enjoy that, but it happened. But also, speaking of Aiden and Logan, they worked on this really cool short film. I'm going to have to look up the name of it again, because I just watched it. It comes out... I actually got a message. I was talking to Logan about it. It's actually coming out on Tuesday. This Tuesday. It's called Dosagen. Dosagen. And it's actually really good. I enjoyed it. It's really hard to describe what it's about, because if I told you guys, you'd be like, no, I'm not watching that crap. That's not happening. It's actually about drugs. And, maybe someone who's been through a lot, they have a lot of pain. So then they start taking these drugs, and they're like, I'm fed up with this, and a very good cinematic masterpiece from Logan and Aiden. Logan stars, and it's a single person independent short film, and man, oh man, was it good. I got early access to it. He was like, hey, what do you think about this? And I was like, I kind of like that. I want to talk about it on, my podcast if you're cool with it. He's like, oh yeah, that gives us, a little bit of publicity. We can talk about it a little bit. We can get a little buzz surrounding this. Aiden and Logan worked on Dosagen, and man, oh man, was this a good piece of film. Amazing. I really enjoyed this, and I didn't think I could enjoy something with drugs. That's what the main point of the thing is. main point of the independent film is drugs. But I didn't think I would enjoy that, but I did. It was actually really good. Not drugs, I'm talking about the movie. But yeah, it was pretty good. I liked it. Movie, it was a short film. But, it was nice. I liked it. That's that. I'm sure you guys have heard the Disagreement Brothers show is coming to... I don't really have a segue for that one. The Disagreement Brothers is coming back at some point. The Disagreement Brothers show, probably on that Wednesday. I don't know if I have authority to talk about that either. But on probably about the 26th, we will be returning to the Disagreement Brothers show. Which is going to be interesting. I can't wait to see what me and Daniel do next with the Disagreement Brothers show. You have to realize we started it out as just a channel, but then I was like, hey, let's kind of condense this down to do a format that people don't do, and I'm thinking we might not even be putting it into like an hour-long format anymore. It might just be an entire show that we do an hour and a half, 45 minutes, an hour 15. I don't think we're going to limit how long we do the episodes anymore. We're not going to try to reach this mark or that mark. We're going to make goals, because goals are always important. But we're also about entertainment and making a good product. It's not about quantity. It is. We have to make it about quantity and quality both. If we can't get that quality, then we do need to reduce our quantity quite a bit until we can get that quality. So, that's the way I look at it, Disagreement Brothers should eventually be back. We should eventually be doing the whole 9 yards. And it'll be fun. I know Daniel's really excited to get back into it. We had discussed taping more episodes prior to moving, but then we knew we had to move, and we're like, well, let's move. Then we'll kind of come up with a decision on what we want to do with this, this thing. But honestly, I thought it was good. Yeah, I thought it was good. I think things are going to be great with that. Because me and Daniel both enjoyed doing it. We're going to continue to enjoy doing it. And I think people enjoy it quite a bit watching it. Because, it's a different format. And I do get that a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to watch an hour long of just straight gaming, talking. I get it. I get that completely. And it's also, there's something that we're going to have to do with formatting. And obviously within coming up with the Xander Brand launch stuff, I'm going to have to come up with, ways to make the format match better and things to make it more entertaining. Right now, this is the only thing we have on the Xander Brand. So, until we, officially launch, So we're going to have, for that first week, we're going to have sketch comedy, we're going to have this, we're going to have that. We may have extra stuff where we take personality quizzes, political, well, I don't know if we'll do that. The Xander Brand doesn't really I don't really like the Xander Brand to dibble into politics. The only reason why I'm allowed to talk about it on this show is because it's about, my campaign and everything, is because it's something I'm actively doing. I'm an activist, so, to be something that I'm doing, that's the only reason why I'm allowed to really, do that on here. Because this is a Xander Brand entity, but, Logan and Aiden will be able to do what they want on their podcast. I'll be able to do what I want on this podcast. My thoughts, though, are not the thoughts of the Xander Brand. That may get people, all riled up. What? But you created it. You own it. Yeah, but my thoughts are not the thoughts of the entire Xander Brand. You have to realize, it's me, Daniel, Aiden, Logan, Drake Dragsaw is going to be involved with something. So you have to think about things like that and kind of put things into perspective. Yeah, I kind of run things around here, but I'm not the only one in charge, so I can't just be like, these are the thoughts of the Xander Brand, because that would be that has a fascist style of, that's a fascist style of thinking. I don't think that's the right word that I was looking for, but that kind of makes it like, oh, it's a dictatorship. It's really not. We kind of like to all have fun here at the Xander Brand. So, but I was speaking of personality quizzes. I actually took one, and you guys can make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter both, XB Full Force, and you guys can actually kind of see the results of mine. I believe it said that I'm actually going to pull it up here. I'm going to pull it up right here. I don't have a producer to pull up stuff for me, so I am my own producer. Unlike a lot of different things, a lot of different people, I don't have a producer. I am my producer, so video right here. I might have saved it somewhere else. Hold on. Sorry, I know I said I was going to look at and tell you guys some stuff. But no, so I'm really pulling this up. It was this really cool personality quiz. I believe it was from 16personalities.com. I might have saved it. Yes, I saved it right here. All right. So my results was that I got an advocate, INFJ-T. I'm 64% introverted, 78% intuitive, 67% feeling versus thinking. That's nature. I am 53% judging as far as tactic goes and 47% retrospecting. So, you get kind of that. I am 85% turbulent, but 15% assertive. So that's really interesting to kind of see as far as identity and whatnot. And actually, I don't like comparing myself to, historical figures, especially some of, quite the, some of quite this level, but Martin Luther King actually has the same personality type as me, and I was like, whoa, not Martin Luther King Jr. He has the same personality type as me, so I was like, man, it's really awesome, because I try to push for some of the things that he did as far as equality goes, so I was like, oh, that's really great, I love that. You are who you are, and that was really inspiring, because I was like, I'm a really crappy person, but then I saw that, and I was like, whoa, what? We have the same personality. And I'm 100% answered all of these truthfully. And I think you guys should too. 16personalities.com. Take a test. It's really fun. They gave me results, and I was reading through some of them, and I was like, whoa, these kind of fit. Like I said, my love life kind of stays private for the most part. There goes a train. We live near a train now. I try to keep my love life private, but they did mention on there a lot about, kind of looking for the right person, which, that's kind of how I am. I can't get a girlfriend, or a boyfriend for that matter, because I am who I am. And I'm ugly, and this, and so on and so forth. That's the reason why I can't get anybody. But if I had that opportunity, I'd really actually look for that right person. And it kind of mentioned that. It mentioned friendships, how I look for the right one in friendships, and I don't just make friends, go up to people, and I'm like, man, this is actually really accurate. So you guys should actually take a test, 16 personalities, find out who you are most like, as far as famous figures go, historical figures. I think you guys will be surprised, and you will enjoy it. So, I think that's the episode for today. I know it's not like a full hour-long podcast this, hour-long that, but I actually quite enjoyed this conversation with you guys. Yes, with you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the Xander Brand on YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts for this podcast. Follow the Xander Brand on social media. _Xander Brand. Xander Brand Podcast. XB Podcasts on Instagram and Twitter. And just like the other two, Instagram and Twitter, for Full Force is XB Full Force. My personal Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, I don't think there's anything else that I have that's really this, is Joseph Sim 2003. So please be sure to follow me, all of the Xander Brand things, and so much of that. I was really happy to do this podcast. Can't wait to edit it because, I have like a few hours until this comes out. So it'll be really interesting. But I honestly can't wait. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I guess I will see you guys next time. If that's a thing that you guys are cool with. Well, I will see you guys next time. Thank you guys. Peace out.